Mr. Hunter here, and today we're going to continue on with the last leg of our project. You're going to be transforming your two burst drawings you did in 1 point perspective and contrasting color schemes into a Flapbook, so your two drawings can interact with each other in the form of a book. Okay, let's go. So here's my original burst drawing in 1 point linear perspective. For my drawing, I chose an analogous color scheme using the warm side of the color wheel with reds, oranges, and yellows. You can see something else going on here, and that is the folds and cuts in my drawing. My original drawing has evolved into a Flapbook that combines the possibilities of two drawings and multiple color schemes. Now, the materials you need for today's project are a little different from yesterday. You need both of your finished burst drawings. These are the drawings using 1 point linear perspective. Each one should feature a contrasting color scheme from the other. Number 2, pencil for making tick marks on your drawing paper to make folds and cuts. You need a good ruler, some white glue or a glue stick, and a good pair of scissors. The instructions seem rather lengthy here, but that's because there's two possible ways this is going to go. Some of you will have done your two drawings on two separate pieces of paper for various reasons. Either the back of your first drawing was marked up and kind of dirty, and you wanted to use a clean sheet of paper, and as long as it was the same size, not a problem. So the process, though, if you did your drawings, both your drawings on one sheet of paper. Okay, so part one, whether you have one or two drawings, if you did two drawings like I did, then you want to turn both of your drawings oriented horizontally face down and measure them across the long direction, and make a tick mark 1/3 of the way over and then 2/3 of the way over, like you see here. You want to have 3 equal sections to your Flapbook. That way, when you fold the pages over, they cover each other and fit together perfectly. You want to do this to the back of both of your drawings so that they're each oriented the same way and divided up into thirds equally. Then you want to go ahead and fold your drawing paper along those lines you drew. And when you turn your drawings over, they'll look something like this after you fold it. Now you can see my second drawing that I did. I never did a color scheme in the middle, so I filled it in using a digital paint program, and then I printed the drawings out digitally for this demonstration. But you can see here we have two contrasting color schemes going on. One's warm, one's primarily cool. Some of the colors are complementary to the cool colors. One has a green background, complementary color to the red background, and the other one. And these are going to go back to back and become one Flapbook and interact with each other. Now turn your papers back over, and you're going to measure them again. This time you're going to measure the two far edges. As you can see, I did here. I divided up my two sheets of drawing paper, measuring down the edge, making a tick mark at the 1/3 and the 2/3 distance, and then using my ruler to line those up and draw these cut lines that you see from top to bottom. You can see they're still divided into 3 equal rectangles going horizontally now, so it fit on the slide better. But now you can see the outer thirds have been divided into thirds themselves, and these will be the flap pages that go back and forth. If you have, my paper, for example, was 9 by 12. So I made a tick mark 3 inches of the way across, and then again at 6 inches. Repeated the process at the bottom edge here. Let's pause for just a second. Okay, so let's try that again. So on the edges of your paper, the outer thirds, I should say, these are the fold lines here. I've turned my paper back over. Now you're going to measure along these two edges, the top and the bottom, and I made a tick mark going 1/3 and then 2/3 of the way. So I have 3 equal sections here. Now, as long as the dimensions are the same on both sides, or I should say on all 4 sides, then the measurements here can be to your liking. If you wanted to make this a 2-inch tall page, and then this one 4 inches, and this one 2 inches, as long as I did 2, 4, 2, 2, 4, 2, and 2, 4, 2, that works fine. I chose to do it into thirds. That way I only had to think of one measurement and repeat that each time. So I went 1/3 of the way, made tick marks, drew the cut lines from the edge of my paper to that first fold, repeated the process on the other side, and then did it to the back of both drawings. Whatever you do to one, you have to do to the other. Okay, and when you're done with this part of the process, you turn your drawings over. They should look something like this. Okay, so you can see the cut lines, you can see the folds, and you should be able to start seeing how these things will work when you put them all together. Burst drawing, I cut along the folds as well as the cut lines. So the cut lines were already cut. So as soon as I cut along the folds, then now I have 7 separate pieces of paper. One that is the large third that is the middle of the drawing, and then the 6 smaller pieces that make up the outer edges, the flapbook parts. Now you're going to use glue. I used white glue, or you could use a glue stick. The next part is you're going to choose which drawing is going to get cut up into smaller pieces. The other one is going to stay whole. You can see the one on the right, the warm colored one, I left in this state, just using the cut lines and leaving it whole, basically. The cool glue these pieces, put them in the places where you want, so when they flip over, you know, you can anticipate what you're going to see on the other side. I chose to make my drawing look whole and complete on both sides, but if you want to mix it up, I mean, I still need the large piece to go in the middle. That's the only way that's going to work, but these other 6 pieces, I could mix those up if I want, and you can too. That's entirely up to you. I just chose to keep mine kind of orderly to see how they interacted. I figured that's mixed up enough as it is. Okay, so here's the process. I started with the biggest piece, glued that on first, and then I glued the flapbook pages on one at a time. And then on to the other side. Okay, and now we're almost done. You can see I've fully assembled my flapbooks. I have one more thing I need to do, and that is trim up the edges and clean it up. Okay, just a couple finishing touches, one really. I have a little excess paper and I want to trim it down, make a nice clean look. Looks pretty good on this side. You know, I have a few spots here I'll need to trim, but the green background drawing is definitely a little bit smaller on this side from cutting it a little too close to the line when I was cutting it into thirds. There we go. Let's turn it over and see how we're looking. Okay, looks pretty good. Let's see how it works. I like it. Now I can see the 2 shapes in 2 different color schemes. Flip it back the other way. Look at that. We've got analogous cool, analogous warm. Same here and here. And then we've got that funny analogous complementary gig going on this side. All right, or I can flip it back and forth like so. All kinds of possibilities here. All right, so there is a completed flapbook using 2 burst drawings in 1-point perspective using 2 different contrasting color schemes. As we can see, main thing is it's at this one, contrast from this one, so when you flip it over, you get something new and exciting to look at. All right, there you go, your final project for Art 1 this year. Except for the final, of course, whatever that may hold. All right.